Isis, Osiris, and Horus. In the beginning there was nothing, only the watery chaos of the noon. Suddenly a great mound called the Ben-Ben stone rose up out of the depths. Upon the Ben-Ben stone a tomb, first of the gods, willed himself into existence. A tomb became lonely, so he created the next four gods: Shu, air; Tefnut, space and water; Geb, earth; and Nut, sky. Once the world was established and everything was put into proper order, he created four more gods: Isis, Osiris, Nephthys, and Set. These last four children would rule the lands a tomb created. Osiris and Isis ruled the black lands near the banks of the Nile. Nephthys and Set ruled the red lands in the desert. Set grew jealous of his brother because Osiris ruled the Nile and its people, while Set was stuck in the hot, windy, chaotic desert. So Set decided to get rid of his brother. One day, Isis and Osiris decided to have a party and invite all the gods to join in to celebrate the harvest. Set and Nephthys were invited as well, although Isis warned Osiris to watch their crafty brother. But the evening went smoothly and everyone was having a good time. Set and Osiris had been taking part in contests all evening, from running to swimming to archery. They were evenly matched, so Set proposed a contest to break the tie. Set led Osiris to a wooden coffin he had brought to the party and left outside in the palace gardens. He told Osiris that it had been gifted to him by a wise old seer, who told him that only the strongest of the gods would fit in it. Osiris believed he was the strongest, so he laid inside the coffin. Of course, Set had measured his brother while he was sleeping and built the coffin to fit only him. Once Osiris was in the coffin, Set slammed the lid down and locked it. He then poured lead over the outside to seal his brother in. To make sure Osiris would never be able to escape, Set threw the coffin into the Nile, sure that no one would ever find it. Then he disappeared back to the desert. Isis realized something was wrong when the party ended and Osiris was nowhere to be seen. She searched the palace from top to bottom, but she could not find her husband. But Isis was a powerful goddess of Heka, magic, so she used magic to search outside the palace for Osiris. She sensed the lead coffin in the Nile and raised it up, finding Osiris inside. Isis was overjoyed to see her husband again, safe and sound. He told her of Set's trick, and they vowed revenge on the trickster god. But Set was clever and hid from Isis and Osiris. One night, after a long day of hunting, Osiris slept on the banks of the Nile. Set had been following him and saw his chance. He snuck up on Osiris and cut his body up into 13 pieces, which he then scattered throughout Egypt. Isis again realized something had gone terribly wrong when Osiris did not return from the hunt. She had the power to speak to animals, so she asked the creatures of Egypt where her husband was. The frogs who lived near the Nile told her of Set's terrible deed. Isis then set out to find her husband's remains. As she traveled across Egypt, Isis wept for her husband. She cried so much that the banks of the Nile overflowed with her tears. After a year of searching, she found 12 of the 13 pieces of Osiris. One was missing, but Isis used her magic to restore her husband to life. Both Osiris and Isis were thrilled to see each other, but Osiris told his wife he must return to the underworld to rule. While he enjoyed being king in Egypt, he told her that he now belonged in the underworld. Isis was sad to let him go, but was consoled when she realized she was pregnant with their son. Set learned of Osiris's return and Isis's pregnancy and chased after Isis. She had to get away from the evil god and gave birth to her son Horus among the papyrus marshes of the north. Isis tried to protect Horus as he grew, but the young god knew how Set had killed his father and he wanted revenge. Horus traveled to his father's old palace where Set now lived, ruling Egypt. When he arrived, Set immediately recognized Horus as his brother's son, and the two fought. The fight was evenly matched, and both gods fought fiercely for the throne. But Set did not fight fairly. He used his powers to throw sand at Horus, distracting him enough to strike. Horus lost an eye to his uncle, but kept fighting, eventually beating Set and forcing him to return to the desert. And so Horus began his rule over Egypt, watched over by his loving mother Isis. Even when the gods left to rule the heavens and humans ruled Egypt, Isis and Horus watched over the pharaohs and protected them. The text of this myth was adapted by Carrie Slager for the Museum of Antiquities. The following sources were used as reference. Thank you for listening.